When I'm a Detroit player, stacking my paper, stacking so high, I need a fucking elevator. I'm a beat boy, I'm a.
What up, man? It's your boy Dre. This is the Casual Beats for the Average Gamer. Just want to talk a little bit about the Xbox One. I won't call it Cable Box One today. Xbox One and PlayStation 4. There's been a lot of info, including from me and other people, regarding the differences between the two systems. I'm not going to talk about the reveal anymore. Who cares what they did do or didn't do at the reveal? I want to talk more about what we flat out know about the systems and as far as their hardware. Um, and the thing is, you need to be careful about who you listen to, because a lot of these kids are listening to people who are in one camp or the other, and people are flipping information to make it damage control if they're in the Xbox side, or make it look bad for Xbox if they're on the PlayStation side. Me, I play all three, so I don't get paid by anybody. I don't really give a shit about any of the companies. I just want to play games on my PC or on consoles. But let me say this off the bat. So far, from what's under the hood and what I know the focus of the companies are, and what I know as far as what games are coming out, what I know so far, I'm buying a PS4 and I'm not buying an Xbox One. That's just a choice. A lot of it is to do with I just believe Microsoft are some money hungry, greedy sons of bitches. Period. I still have always felt Xbox Live you should not have to pay for that. That should be free. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I've always felt. And I've always felt that's a ripoff. If you play a lot of PC games and you see you get all this stuff for free, you kind of start feeling like, man, Xbox is a ripoff. I can get close to the same experience on PlayStation 3 right now, and it's for free. And people holler, well, Xbox is better. It's got, party chat. Okay, if you're 12 years old and all you care about is playing with your friends and being able to talk to them, yeah, that's fine. Play Xbox, pay the fee. But I'm not online playing games just for the socialization of it. You know what I mean? I don't play games just to socialize. I don't need, six guys in my party at all times, and I got to be able to, connect with them, and I got to be able to play a game with everybody at all times. That's not how I operate, and that's not how everybody operates. And that's why I don't feel, paying $60 or whatever for a year subscription is worth it. And I think also, I just think it's a ripoff. And now they're adding all this other stuff for the Xbox One that has nothing to do with gaming. I don't care. I get my NFL stuff on my computer, you know what I mean, and on ESPN on my cable box. I don't want to replace my cable box. I'm not replacing my computer. I don't need my Xbox One to do all that. I could give a shit. I won't touch any of that. The current Xbox has a ton of, features and applications you can pay an extra fee for. I don't use any of that stuff. I don't touch it. And I know everybody's not like me. But my whole point is, it's fine to have all that added in, but don't focus on it. Because you're just turning away true gamers. You know what I mean? Casual people who barely use it and just play Call of Duty, and then they think, oh, it's so cool, I can do my NFL, I can look at NFL stuff, and I can look at ESPN through all that. Why would I want to do that through an Xbox when I got freaking cable? I got 3 or 4 different NFL channels I can look at, and ESPN, and other stuff. I mean, I don't need a video game system to do that. It's just, anyway, but back on topic here. Be careful who you listen to, because you got people like Woody's Gamertag who's trying to break down the difference between the two things, and he's not giving any factual evidence. It's just what he thinks he knows, and he tells you he's a former programmer and all this crap. And I'm not saying he's not, but he's not giving you any factual evidence, and you can tell the fanboy in him is coming out. Yes, I know he has both systems. I know sometimes he does play PlayStation, and he'll hold a lobby or two here and there. But let's be real about it. He is an Xbox fanboy. Just like he's a COD fanboy. He will never really say much negative about COD, even though he knows it's a shit game. And he's gonna damage control this for Xbox, which he's already been doing with his videos recently, as best as he can. I am going to give you a link to everything I say. I'm not just gonna pull this out my ass and say, oh well, this is this and that, and this is better than that because I said so. Professionals have broken this down. Bottom line is, the Xbox One and the PS4, yes, they are going to be very similar as far as hardware. You're probably not going to notice much of a difference in your games as far as how they play because they're going to be porting them back and forth between the systems. But let's be real here, and this again, this will be in the link in the description to what professional people who have looked inside of both have already broken down. The PlayStation will have a little bit better hardware. It'll be a little bit faster. I'm not saying you'll see that, you won't feel that necessarily, but it's going to have more horsepower under the hood. Period. Flat out, they give you a breakdown of the processors and of the GPU and of how the memory inside of it works in this link, and they show you that they're very similar, but the PlayStation just flat out has more it's a little bit more powerful, and it has more speed for developers to be able to use that raw power. Now here's the kicker. That doesn't mean the developers are going to do it. That doesn't mean that they're going to use that extra power, but it is going to have a little bit more in there. Xbox kind of took a little bit of that power and routed it a different way so they could move off into other areas like the side apps and the different things. Whereas PlayStation put all of the horsepower straight into gaming and graphics. Again, you're probably not going to notice any difference if you play Call of Duty on, modern Call of Duty Ghost, where the fuck it is, on Xbox One or PS4, because they're probably going to make them about the same and just port it over from one to the other. But just pure horsepower and what's under the hood, the PlayStation is more powerful. It has faster RAM, and they believe that the CPU core system is going to be a little bit faster in the PlayStation. Again, it doesn't mean it is going to be better. I think they're going to be about even because it's up to the developers how they use it, and I think they're going to use the same standard level. But just on raw numbers, okay, the PlayStation 4 is a little bit faster. They break this down on this site for you in a specs comparison. Both have 8-core CPUs. Okay, they believe that both are going to use 1.6 gigahertz frequency. It's an estimate. We know that for Xbox. The PlayStation, some are reporting 2 gigahertz, some are reporting 1.6. Let's just say they're both even, 1.6. So let's call that even. The GPU cores, okay, which is your graphics processor inside, the PlayStation is kicking the Xbox's ass. That's one of the areas that they're up above. The PlayStation 4 will have 1,152 GPU cores, while the Xbox One is going to have 768. Okay, which means that the peak shader output, and these are things that how your graphics process and how your graphics show, it makes some difference. It's not going to make a game look horrible compared to the other, but just in raw numbers, the PlayStation 4 will have 1.84 teraflops. The Xbox One has 1.23 teraflops, so the PlayStation a little bit higher. To give it a comparison, the current Xbox 360 has 0.24 teraflops. So either way, it's a huge jump. Either way you cut it. It's a huge jump from current consoles to the next generation. But there is a difference in the two as far as raw horsepower. The Xbox will have 8 gigs of DDR3 memory, which most of us know right now, running at 2133 megahertz. The PlayStation 4 has 8 gigs of GDDR5 memory, which is faster, and it'll have 5,500 megahertz of system memory. They're both running on 256-bit buses. Okay, and one of the big areas that there's going to be a difference is the memory bandwidth. Now, again, it just doesn't mean that developers are going to take advantage of it, but just under raw horsepower numbers, under the hood, the PlayStation 4 will have around 176 gigabytes of system memory bandwidth, whereas the Xbox One, because of the way they're routing things and because of the way they're setting up the internals, not just for gaming but for all this other shit, it's gonna have 68.3 gigabytes of system memory bandwidth. They're both still a big jump compared to what the current Xbox runs at 22.4 gigabytes of bandwidth. So you're still talking about the Xbox One tripling what it currently has, what it not. But the PlayStation 4 is going to have more than double of what the Xbox One will. Again, it doesn't mean that you're going to see a big difference in performance as far as playing the same game. But just in raw numbers, the PlayStation 4 has more horsepower up under the hood. It's just the way it is. One of the things they read about in the article, they're talking about the GPUs run on the same clock, and they're talking about the Xbox One is a 33% reduction in computer power from 1.84 teraflops in the PS3 to 1.23, which is what I just stated. So it just means the PlayStation 4 is just, they gave it a little bit more horsepower than what the Xbox One's gonna have, but that does not mean that you're going to see any difference. They just, like they're saying, Sony just has more resources available to use under the hood. So if a developer wants to make a first party exclusive, yes, they have a more powerful machine to make something with. But that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to see a difference. I mean, you may or you may not. And it talks about Connect and all this other shit that most of us don't care about. But read the article. If you really want to know the difference between what's up under the hood for both, read the article, go through all the pages. It breaks it down for you. They're not being biased. They're not picking one or the other. They're actually defending Microsoft a little bit in this article, but they're also keeping it real and just telling you flat out the PS4 under the hood has more it's got more horsepower. But it doesn't mean you're going to see any difference in gaming. Microsoft just chose to set theirs up in a different way, and it's a little bit less powerful, but it'll do the side stuff a little better. Whereas PlayStation, Sony is not so much worried about that. They want to give straight 100% hardware and horsepower to the developers to make faster, better looking games, period. But both systems are going to be fine. So anyway, man, like I say, don't take people's word for it. Don't even take my fucking word for it. Go to the link in the description and read the article for yourself, and stop listening to people who are getting paid by one company or the other, or who are fanboys of one console over the other, and try to give you, twisted information to try to make their favorite one sound a little better so they can keep their sponsorships and all this other bullshit. Listen to real people who don't get paid by anybody, who don't give a fuck, and just want to give you the best information available. Peace, man. I'll holla.
Lightning strike on standby.